everybody. I'm Steph Hodge with Board Game Geek here with Nathan of Hexy Studio today and Ari's Games behind you. I see nice Ari's Games.
Yeah.
Today we get to look at Hard City. How's it going, Nathan? It's been a whole day.
Yeah, having a good Gen Con so far. I hope everyone tuning in is also having a good Gen Con. But yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about Hard City, one of my personal favorites right now. It's designed by, I can never get these names right, Marek Rynszynski and Adam Kwiepizinski, which Marek is kind of new to the scene, but Adam designed one of my other personal favorites, Nemesis, which I'm sure many viewers probably are familiar with. It's in the top 100 and it's also a great game.
Excellent.
But yeah.
No, I mean, that sounds amazing. So I wonder if any of these games have anything in common with Nemesis, but we are going to find out.
Definitely the detailed miniatures, for sure, which is
nice.
Probably my favorite part of this game.
Excellent.
Yeah,
so give us a little bit of overview. What is this Hard City? What are we doing?
Yeah, so Hard City is basically a one versus many miniature board game where you are playing officers as the Hard City Police Department, and you're facing Dr. Zero, which is this mad scientist that's trying to take over, the world with his mutant lackeys, and it's cool because you can play a solo mode, you can play a fully cooperative mode, and you can play a one versus all mode. So it has like kind of a variability. And yeah, so you're playing these, sorry, I blinked there. So you get to decide if you want to play one of the officers or Dr. Zero. And this is basically thematically every 80s B-class action movie or any, B-class 80s era in general with like sci-fi and all that. So it kind of has a lot of fun, interesting things that are kind of related to like 80s pictures and 80s action.
It definitely gives me that 80s vibe with the coloration.
Yeah, you got the sergeant that always has a donut in his mouth, and he's got and the action points are donuts, so they're spending donuts to to perform all the Jonathan Johnson. So it's a very fun, light kind of miniature game. Yeah, and so you said
it's cooperatives or it could be one versus many. How many people does it play? Does that mean you can play it solo?
Yeah, you can play it 1 to 5.
Excellent.
So you could have one player playing Dr. Zero and then 4 players playing the officers. Or you could do a fully cooperative where you're all 4 or 5 playing against the game. Or you can just play by yourself. And that's kind of what those green cards with the Z on them, those are for like the solo mode and and the cooperative mode. Automatic. And then there should be, oh, there it is. At the bottom there, next to the helicopter card, is the cards with Dr. Zero to the left. Yep, right there. Ah. Perfect. Yeah, and so that's what you use. That's actually Dr. Zero there, and that's what you use in the one versus all.
Excellent. So tell us, how do we win? We just have to defeat him?
Yeah, so it's actually kind of cool in that sense too. So there's 5 different scenarios, which are down at the bottom there, and they're in these, and it kind of has a different setup. 2 to the right, big things, the helicopters. So big sheet. Yep. Oh, you got it. Right under that card. Yeah, it's basically that. So you have 5 different scenarios that set the board differently, set different mechanics differently. So you'll have like in the first scenario you have this helicopter
mayhem on the streets.
And Yeah, what you're trying to do is you're trying to evacuate civilians through this helicopter. And it will change certain things, like it shows in the top right that it has special rules. And so in this scenario, the special rules are going to be, you have this helicopter that you can spend action points to move around, or you can shoot barrels and blow them up to destroy mutants kind of in an AoE or a surrounding area. And you get victory points. It's different for the scenario, but it's usually for the officers. It's for every 10 mutants that you kill, you get 1 victory point. For every civilian you evacuate, you get 1 victory point. And for the Chaos or Dr. Zero, you get a victory point by either knocking out an officer or killing a civilian. And the first person to 7 points wins the whole game.
Very cool. Very cool. So walk us through how a round might look if we're playing against.
So first what we would do is in the first very round, Dr. Zero would draw 4 cards from his Chaos deck. Yep. And then you would, the players would go, the police officers would go first. So you would then decide, this is kind of cool too, you can decide which officer you want to go first. There's no set order. It's just what you're kind of thinking. And so let's say the officer, and that's another thing, you start with a cutscene. So there's a bunch of cutscene cards that you kind of stack in a certain way. And when you flip them over, they have things that do some, so there's always like a starting scene and then there's like multiple scenes. Yeah, so this is like Power Surge. So on the cutscenes, it changes the round and you get to do something fun and interesting. The first one is the opening scene to this one is Call 911, where you actually get to take the car and you get to go onto the map and run over as many zombies as possible. Yeah, and then you get to that gets to your kill counter, and you're gonna set the spawn of where you want your officers to start. So then each officer has 5 donuts, or 5 action points rather, and so they can do anything from moving to shooting to close combat. So let's take, we'll do the sergeant for this one, Sergeant Johnson. So he would spend, let's see, he could spend 1 donut and he could move to the closest, let's say the closest mutant possible, wherever that may be. Perfect. And you can move diagonally or up and down, left or right. So he enters this space, and now he wants to involve in close combat, which also costs an action point. So he'd spend another donut, and he would roll 1 of those purple dice. And there's 3 symbols. Yeah, there's a blank, there's a bullet hole, and then there is a like exclamation mark. And the bullet holes obviously do damage. In the and then those are for reaction. So the bullet holes do damage to the zombies. In a close combat, you cannot kill a mutant. So you can only stun them. But you can stun multiple if you roll like a double bullet hole if you have multiple mutants. And if you, let's say you would stun the mutant, so you knock the mutant over. And then now he's got some more action points, and let's do a shooting action point. So he would spend another donut, and he can shoot any mutant on the board that doesn't have a civilian or a fellow officer on the space. And no officers or obstacles, which are the cars in this scenario, get in the way of that. So we can shoot any one of, let's do the one that's closest to him next to the brown car. Also, another thing to mention is that you cannot shoot also if you have an active mutant on your space. So he had to stun that mutant first before he could shoot. Then he would take those two purple dice.
What's the point of stunning? I was just going to ask, what's the point of stunning if you can't kill him?
Yes. So the point of stunning is then on Dr. Zero's turn, he's not going to be able to use that mutant unless he spends actions to get them back unconscious. So it gives him, it's kind of a, ooh, and that was a 2 blanks. That's not a great roll, but yeah. There we go. That's a little better. Yeah. So, and it takes 2 bullet holes to kill a mutant. So if he if you were to roll 1 bullet hole, it would just stun the zombie, and rolling 2 would actually kill it. And then that exclamation mark. So Dr. Zero has a bunch of cards at his disposal, and he can use those exclamation marks to play reaction cards, which would like make you run out of ammo or potentially lose health if you were to come into a space and try to close counter. There's a reaction card called Bite that the zombie will get you right in the neck if you're not careful. Yeah, right there. That's a reaction card. So if you enter an officer goes into close combat, they lose 2 health. So yeah, you're playing out this, and you're trying to get all the civilians. So he would probably use the rest of his action points to try to find maybe a civilian and try to escort him or her to the helicopter. And then once all the action points are used, then it would be Dr. Zero's turn, and it alternates. So Dr. Zero has a bunch of different actions that they can do. So the first thing is they can play instant cards, and everything's on the action or on the text there in the card of what it might be. So an instant would be right before anything else on the turn. And then they have a choice of 3 different things. They can draw 1 chaos card. They can play an action card or a special card, and or they can play the bottom of the card that gives them basic actions, which are there is summoning more mutants, moving the mutants, or attacking the mutants, and that's at the bottom there. So let's say, yeah, so let's do this one. So they would play the instant, so all stunned mutants on the board become active again. So then that would become mutant again. And then let's play another card. We can just put any card here. Perfect. So then this player would then use this to, let's say they want to do 2 of the bottom actions. So they would summon 3 new mutants, and on that starting card, they can put the mutants anywhere on the outside of the board, and depending on the scenario, determines where you can summon new mutants. So this one, they're kind of flooding into the center of the city, so they can only be summoned on the outer edge. So we summon 3 extra zombies anywhere on the map. And then
does that say that on that little grid on the helicopter? Is that what that green outline is? On the helicopter?
Yes, on that helicopter sheet, that green, yep. And that will change for all the different scenarios. Got it. So, yeah, so then they play that, they summon the new mutants, and they attack with one of the mutants, and there's no rolling or anything, they just get the instant damage. And so then that right there would be Dr. Zero's turn. And it would go back and forth until everyone has had a turn. Anytime an officer has a turn, then Dr. Zero gets a turn. If Dr. Zero were able to knock down an officer before they got their turn, then Dr. Zero wouldn't get another turn. So basically, he gets to knock out an officer, but he's not going to get a turn either. Oh, and then this is my favorite. This right here is, I think, for me, worth this $75 alone. That's MSRP. So FUBAR, which is a military term, which I will edit it here. It's fudge ugly beyond all remorse or all repair or something like that. And it's basically like a like you cannot repair this thing. Like it is just all recognition is gone. That's what it is. Beyond all recognition. So yeah, he's got like a barrel on his back. He's got this giant index finger. Yeah. His squat game is looking really, really good. But and so Dr. Zero in this scenario, there's specialty mutants. There's FUBAR. There's the mutant rats, which are not in this scenario. And then there are the military mutants, the ones that we showed a little earlier with the rifle. And so when you summon FUBAR, he gets 3 donuts, much like the officers, and he can do a lot of damage, but his health is equal to the officer's victory points. So you obviously probably wouldn't want to summon him in round 1, but he's kind of your ace in the hole when you think you're about to lose or the officers think they're about to win. You can send in FUBAR to end all things.
So how do you actually save the people? I don't think I see people on the map. Do they somehow get put on the board?
There should be some actually over in the left corner, I see some civilian tokens. So, and actually those cards next to the chaos deck, yep, one of those little tokens on the left. That's perfect. So, and actually at the start of the round, you would pull a event card, which is next to the chaos deck, the blue like skyscraper card. And that actually shows you where new civilians spawn and where boxes spawn. So in this one, there are these cardboard boxes that are all along the map. And there's also weapon crates, which is that gray one that are in future scenarios. And the boxes give you all these little abilities, or there's like a basketball that you could use to stun a mutant, or a rocket launcher to blow up a giant square of mutants. And looking through the boxes is a complete and total free action. And same with escorting the civilians. If you're on a space with a civilian, you can use a free action to start escorting them. And then you start moving to, there should be a token over there that's actually the helicopter. And
I think it's on the board.
The ladder side. Yeah. And so you're moving it's right there. So there's a ladder side, and you would be trying to escort the civilian to the helicopter.
Okay.
But you could also go the victory way of just blasting as many mutants as possible, which is kind of cool. And two, every time you murder 10 mutants, you get a ability card, which each officer has their own specialty abilities, like their own deck. So let's say the officers managed to take out 2 mutants. You would look at 2 ability cards, and you get to pick one that you want to keep. So let's see, what do we got here? So the good old days, that's one I am familiar with because I use that in my playthrough. You can spend donuts to stun all the mutants in one space. And so these are very, very, very powerful. And some don't cost any actions at all, which can be very, very useful to you. And each character kind of has their own, asymmetrical abilities and stuff. Like, Sergeant Johnson is kind of the tank, while Jenny here is the medic, so she can heal people. We have Marcellus, who's kind of the big, strong guy. It even says on his character card that he plays as himself. And he can drop kick mutants, really good at close encounters. He can carry more civilians. And then the last one we have is, I can never remember her name, is Miranda. And Miranda is like the sharpshooter. And so she can, so there's another action that you can do. It's 2 donuts that allows you to sharpshoot a zombie, which you don't roll any dice, and it just instantly kills that mutant or zombie. They're kind of I'm saying zombie and mutant. They're both. It's open to your imagination at this point.
Right.
If you want them to be zombies or mutants.
I was gonna call her a badass, and she actually has the card badass. So I was like, oh, that's perfect.
Yeah. Yep, as Captain Nails. Yeah, she's kind of the sergeant's right-hand girl.
Love that. Let's see. Looks like somebody made a joke. The 2 summons are Foo and Bar.
Yeah.
Foo Bar.
The
back of the rule book teases.
This is obviously for all you dog lovers out there. This is also a key component to the game. This is Blast, and he's actually in a future scenario where you're trying to defuse a doomsday device, and you can use Blast to basically take out mutants and help sniff for. It's kind of cool. Dr. Zero in that scenario gets to hide the doomsday devices, and actually the only way that the cops can win in that scenario is by stopping the doomsday device. So they don't get the normal victory points that they would get from saving civilians or taking out mutants.
Cool. It looks like on the back of the rule book it teases a sequel. Do you know if that's accurate, if there's going to be a second one in the line of Hard City?
I mean, this just released within a week, so for me, I don't know anything of a sequel, but I would be I'd be hard pressed to say that there is got to be something in the works. I'd say expansion, something like that along those lines.
More scenarios, something. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
so you said it just released.
To come. More specialty mutants, which, bring on the miniatures. I mean, the 30 miniatures already in there are just awesome. I really, really enjoy those.
Yeah, and you said it just released. Where can people find Hard City?
So we unfortunately don't have our own website where we sell through. We don't do any because we want to support those local game stores. So basically you can get it. It is available on Amazon, but we hard press that we want you to go support your local game store, wherever that may be.
Excellent. So there's a question in the chat. How does the board change between scenarios?
So each scenario, and maybe we can look at all those different scenario cards for the kind of big helicopter one, is it actually has on the back, it has kind of the setup there. So
are they the cut cards?
So this is how, so this is what kind of all of them look, or at least a little bit similar. I have kind of other ones here that I can kind of show. So so there you go. So that's kind of another one that has a square board, but then there's one that's one of the last ones, I believe. Is the 0 hour. That one actually, it's pretty neat, actually uses the box as part of the game board. So the box here, which maybe I've got a copy here, actually has spaces and tiles on there. And this is basically the factory of where Dr. Zero is hiding out. So this actually, the box becomes part of the the game board and part of the scenarios, which I thought was really cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah. And so then, and that's what's the replayability on the scenarios is really cool, changing up all the different specialty mutants, their special rules. Sometimes and there's also a difficulty meter. So maybe you are feeling when you're playing solo that you're having a little too tough time, or vice versa, you want more of a challenge. You can scale things to your liking.
Nice. Now, have you played all like co-op and one versus many? And which way did you like, or which way did you prefer?
I mean, I take pleasure in stabbing my friends in the back. So the one I got to play as Dr. Zero, and that was really fun. I really liked, them talking about how they could try to thwart my plans when really they're just giving me all their details. But I also found that the solo was really, really nice and fleshed out, and it didn't make it seem like Dr. Zero. It has a really cool way in kind of making Dr. Zero feel like it's very specific of what you did. That card is going to react, it's just going to do a complete.
Oh, did he freeze?
Yeah,
completely different
frozen.
action. It tries. Oh, hello.
You froze for a moment.
Yeah, I went to the shadow realm for a couple seconds there. I apologize.
Okay.
But yeah, so I don't know where I kind of was lost there, but it kind of those cards kind of go in waves of how you were doing things, and it's not just this bad reaction, you got to fix it the best you can. It kind of tries to mold to how your play style, which is kind of cool.
Excellent. Do you know any of the backstory of how this theme came around, or why like the 80s vibe, anything like that?
No, I have no idea, but it is super fun. I love anything from that stuff. The more bright, vibrant pink, the better. It's what I
agree.
It's kind of what I'm liking, but yeah, that's Hard City.
Excellent. Well, is there anything else we need to know before we wrap it up for today, Nathan?
Yeah, I mentioned this yesterday, but for any people that are new or tuning in now, we've got on our Looking Glass, we have a special pop-up store going on right now, where you basically buy a base game of Wings of Glory, our Battlestar Galactica miniature combat game, or Last Friday, which is a awesome little hidden movement game, and you buy any of those and you get the free expansions. And I kind of stress that the Last Friday one, you don't want to miss out. It's a $40 expansion for free, and the expansion adds kind of this Freddy Krueger-esque character. So yeah, check it out.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And the deal will be going on until August 25th. So you don't have to get it this weekend. Cool. It's going for pretty much the whole month of August. So.
Excellent. Spread the word.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Nathan, talking with you from Aries Games and Hexy Studio and Hard City today. I hope you have a great Gen Con.